Hello everyone, this is Zooc, and today I'm going to be drawing Dr. Harleen Frances Quinzel, popularly known as Harley Quinn, the female villain from the Batman series of comics. She is quite an interesting character, and I like her for a number of reasons, which I'm going to get into later. But first off, I'm going to start with a little bit of info about her origins and evolution as a character. She was first introduced in September 1992 as a villain, and unlike most comic book characters, she had quite an unusual evolution. Usually when these people create their characters, they introduce them in comic books because that's where it's at. That's how they started. That's the largest audience they have. So obviously they would choose to take advantage of that particular fact, but not this time. They actually introduced Harley Quinn in the animated series, Batman, the animated series, which in itself is quite nonconformist for a company like DC Comics. But in any case, they knew what they were doing because Harley Quinn gained a huge following after that. And she became very, very popular, and her story was also very well taken by most of the DC Comics audience. In 1994, they wrote a graphic novel called Mad Love, which depicted the way in which Harley Quinn turned to evil and a little bit of background information about her before she became Harley Quinn. And the graphic novel won a couple of awards for the single best comic of the year. So the character itself and her story were very much appreciated by fans. So I think that's a little unusual, because if you are to look at the character itself, I mean, she doesn't have a lot of special superpowers. Unlike most comic book villains, she's actually quite normal. And she doesn't have tentacles coming out of her face, or I don't know, superhuman strength and being able to tear buildings apart. So no, she's just a woman that just happened to fall in love with Joker. And that in itself put her up as IGN's 45th top villain of all time. I know a lot of you don't care about this classification or her ranking, but I just thought I would mention it anyway because it's interesting information. So she is classified as number 45, above a lot of characters that I personally would consider much more evil and ruthless compared to her. But no. One unusual aspect about Harley Quinn is that she was inspired by a real person. So one of the creators, Paul Dini, he was friends with this actress called Arlene Sorkin. She played in a very popular soap opera called Days of Our Lives. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it if you're old enough. And she, at a certain point throughout the show, she appears in a dream sequence dressed in a jester suit. So Mr. Dini saw that, and he used that scene as inspiration for creating Harley Quinn. And as it so happens, Arlene was also the voice actress for one of the voice actresses for Harley Quinn, but she was the main one. Harley Quinn was voice acted by 3 different people, but Arlene Sorkin was the one that was used the most. And also apparently a lot of the personality-related aspects of Arlene were incorporated into Harley Quinn's personality. So she is very much based off a real person, which is also very unusual, considering a lot of comic book villains are, they can't have human equivalents. But that's the thing about Harley. She is so human and so close to what we can relate to that she's actually based off a real person. So I think that's cool. In a world where human crocodile hybrids roam the earth, or people with super steroids are injected into their brains, walk around destroying shit. Here is good old Harley, the most down-to-earth of the villains, or one of the most down-to-earth of the villains at least, keeping her spot high up there. So that's kind of cool. In any case, there are certain special powers, so to say, that are quite interesting about her as well. After she fell in love with the Joker, she later on became friends with Poison Ivy. And Poison Ivy, as a token of her appreciation, injected her with some antitoxins that she held, or she disposed of. And that gave Harley immunity to poisons and immunity to poison ivy's poisons in particular. So that was kind of cool. She's also apparently, she has above average strength and agility, and she's very elastic and gymnastic and all that stuff. So she's not your usual gal, but she's still less special in terms of powers than most other villains. In any case, I think she's cool, and her personality is kind of what makes her special. So the way she became Harley Quinn was as follows. She was a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, and Joker was brought in, and she offered to analyze him and treat him if that's even possible. And after listening to him for a while, she sort of fell in love with him. She got the hots for him. So she started helping him escape the asylum as well while she was still Dr. Harleen. And at some point, after Batman and Joker had a fight, or a close encounter, so to say, Joker was brought to the asylum wounded or hurt. And that was the last drop for Dr. Harleen. That's sort of what pushed her into becoming Harley Quinn and becoming Joker's girlfriend / accomplice. So that was the moment when she started wearing the jester suit and started doing all this evil shit with him. So initially, Harley Quinn wore this very, very typical jester suit, but her attire was changed for Arkham Asylum into this sort of biker / steampunk sort of thing, which I think is nicer, and that's why I picked this version, because the jester suit is basically a skin-tight spandex. Yeah. All I would be drawing would be basic human body with the jester's hat, while this suit is somewhat different and gives me a lot of room for detail as well, and I just think it looks better. It looks more aggressive a bit. So, I guess I should talk about the drawing a bit. I used a piece of guitar strap. I just find random shit throughout my room to use in drawings. It's I know, I'm crazy. So I cut off this piece of guitar strap because it's very heavily textured, and I used that for her skirt, her mini skirt, because I thought, hell, why not? I didn't really have any reasoning for it. I just kind of sat around bored and saw that I have that thing laying around that I haven't used it before, and I was curious as to what texture it would give. So it definitely gave a very heavy fabric texture, which is nice. And of course I used the stylus for her hair, and the stylus, I swear to God, I was such a sucker for not thinking about it earlier. It's just absolutely amazing for hair. Hair comes out almost perfect every time, and it's something that a lot of people have issues with. Seriously, stylus is the best tool you can use for that. So that was about it. I don't know what else to technically say. Of course, as you can see, I chose the typical slutty pose, sluttier than usual. I noticed it's very well received and people appreciate it, so why the hell not? But I hope you enjoyed the drawing, and I hope you found the story interesting. I like the character a lot, so I hope you do as well. Please visit my channel and subscribe, and watch out for other videos, gameplay videos that I have there, if you're watching this on TB's channel. And I'll see you another time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.